So when you're on this weight loss journey, the big question is motivation. How do you stay motivated? What is your motivation? How do you keep yourself going when you just want to say, hey, I'm done, I quit, I don't want to do this no more? If there's anybody out here who's 100% motivated every day, shout out to you. Please put in the comments how you're doing it, because I want to know your secret. Now, shout out to Becoming Bianca, because one of the things she said, and it prompted me to think about it, one tip I can tell you is keeping a journal. I would say hands down, that is a good way to see how you can stay motivated. Now, her journaling, she talks about, and I'll link her video also, but her video was discussing actually how she had written something over a year ago, and she was reflecting and reading it, and it was so amazing how when she was reading it a year later, how it was motivational to her to see how far she had come. So when you think about journaling, you can do journaling in different ways. You know, the word tells us write the vision and make it plain so that when men read it, they can run. Now, one of the things is you may decide, hey, like me, I sometimes don't always have enough time to journal. I used to keep journals a long time ago. In fact, I'm old enough, and I'm telling my age now, I'm old enough to remember when it wasn't called journaling, it was called a diary. And I'm old enough to remember when you had that lock that was a fake lock that anybody could open, that your siblings could open, or they could use a pair of scissors and cut it open. I would pray, you know, I used to write in my journal and I'd lock it, but I would pray that my mama never saw it, because I remember writing in that journal, she done made me mad today. I wish I could do such and such and such. And if my mom ever read that, you know, that would be something. But even when I did little things with my friends, I wrote in my journal because I just thought, hey, with that lock, it was secure. But journaling is a good way to do it. And honestly, journaling is a good motivation because you can reflect. But also, you can journal your food. I know for me, I've discovered that I'm a stress eater. So for me, journaling would work if I wrote down what I was feeling and what made me feel like I wanted to eat something. I didn't realize, honestly, that I was a stress eater until I got on this journey. And then I realized that if I had a rough day at work, I think I did a video a couple of weeks or last week, I just put it up, but I did a video saying how I had a stressful day at work. I had gotten stuck in traffic, and I just was like, you know what? I know I got something to eat at home, but boy, oh boy, it would just feel better for me if I just went through this drive-through and got something to eat right now. And I couldn't really put the two and two together. Like, why did it make me feel better to go through that drive-through? Because that was my go-to. Before I started this weight loss journey, you know, I would go through a drive-through, and it was like, okay. And I went that day and got a 2-piece box of chicken. And even when I got home, I started feeling guilty. I was like, man, girl, you should have just ate what you had at the house. But I was like, no, that relief for me was getting that 2-piece chicken box. And I know that may sound crazy, but you know, I think I even said earlier in that video, I was doing my lunch, but I knew I had something to eat, but my mind was like, girl, you could go somewhere else and get something else to eat. And that was the stress. I had to realize that was the stress that I was under that made me feel like, oh, if I went and got something different than what I already had, I would think that it was better and it would make me feel so much more relieved. I mean, I'm a person that like dessert. So with my thing about stress eating, I could actually say, okay, I'm stressed out. I need something good to eat. That's just hands down. So with the journaling, you know, that number one tip is journaling. Journaling can help you release certain pressures, your emotions, talk about how you're feeling. But I would say, even, I'm not going to go into detail what Becoming Bianca said, but watch Becoming Bianca's video where she talks about how she was writing certain things. And in a way, as you look at it, you know, she was talking about where she was, but then she could see where she had, how far she had come. And that's a part of writing your vision, you know. That's a part of writing, okay, this is where I'm at today, but this is what I want to improve. This is what I'm doing today, but this is what I want to make better. So when you write those things down, it actually makes you feel better. But also, you know, you can do a food journal. I think that's something, you know, I do journaling of food on my phone. I mean, I have an app where I track my food and I can see what I'm eating. So that's another way. So, you know, I want to say too, you know, journaling these days is not all just writing it on pen and pad. You can journal with your phone, your iPad, your computer. In fact, you can journal with your phone now because all you got to do is go to your notes in your phone. And when you go into your notes in your phone, then you can actually turn the mic on and you can speak into it. And you can say, you know what? Today I felt such and such and such and such and da 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 da. And you don't even have to spend the time to write it. You can actually say, oh, I just got through eating such and such and such and such. I'm just journaling. So you can put it in your notes and have something as a continuous notes. And then you can actually, if you want, you can read it later. You can look at it later. But that's another easy way to journal. I mean, like I said, journaling now is a lot easier. It's not just so I'm journaling on pen and pad. I can journal my food in a food app. I think a couple of apps I've used is Lose It. I can journal what I'm eating in my Lose It app. And that's just something that you can track and you can see, this is how I ate today. This is what I ate today. And that's another way to keep track. So tip number one, thank you, Bianca, is journaling. And I actually thought about that. And I actually have been a person that used to write a lot. I have some old journals from 10 years ago. I mean, when I was moving here to Texas and I was packing up my house, I was like, wow. And I was reading some of those things and it felt good to look at where I was and how far I've come. And then sometimes you can see how you might have backtracked a little bit. But journaling is my first tip to stay motivated, not just on this weight loss journey, but in life. Because, when you start thinking about it and you start tracking about your emotions and how you feel and what you're feeling, writing those things is like a release, or speaking those things is like a release. So those are the kind of things I would say. And I would even go further to say, take your journaling a little deeper and write out your vision. Like I said, the word says, write the vision, make it plain so that when men read it, they can run. Actually, you can read it and run. Because you can use that journal as you read it, you reflect, and you say, okay, this is my motivation. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So my tip number one would be journaling. Another person I want to give a shout out is Alonda. She was talking in one of her videos that I just got through watching recently about a coworker, and her motivation was to live her life thinking that, okay, when I lose this weight, I'm going to have a better life. I'm going to be able to complete my life. So your motivation can be a lot of different things. It can be your children. It could be your grandchildren. It can be health reasons. I'm going to get into that a little later. But the different things that motivate you can be external things and it can be internal things. So those are the kind of things I want to think about when I say, okay, what's your motivation? Your motivation could be, hey, I want to be able to enjoy my child. I want to be able to get down on the floor. I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to run. I want to go outside and play, be able to go outside and play and do different things. And that can be your motivation. Now, tip number two is set small, achievable goals. When you set small goals versus these big goals, your small goals can add up to the big goal, but smaller goals make you not feel so overwhelmed. Meaning, if I set a small achievable goal like 1 to 2 pounds a week, in my case it's been 0.5 pounds a week, but small achievable goals will help. But I want to say sometimes, we focus so much on weight and how many pounds are we losing. But I would say small achievable goals go deeper than that. When I first found out that I was a pre-diabetic and I needed to lower my A1C numbers and I needed to look at how I needed to change my diet, one of the first things as a small achievable goal for me was cut out bread. That was the first goal. I didn't go whole hog and say, oh, I'm going and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, because that would have overwhelmed me and it would have made me feel like I couldn't do it, or I would have quit quicker. But my first thing was, girl, try not to eat bread for a week. Try not to go and get a sandwich with bread for a week. Try not to eat a meal with bread for a week. And that was my first small achievable goal. Then after I achieved that goal, I was like, okay, I got that down. My next goal is to cut down in added sugar. Now, note, I didn't say zero sugar. I just said start cutting down on added sugar. That was my next small achievable goal. Another thing of small achievable goals, which don't have to be connected with food, it could be, hey, I want to go to bed earlier. That's a small achievable goal. I want to drink more water. I want to drink over 60 ounces a day. So if you know you're a person who's not drinking water at all, hardly, your first achievable goal might be, I need to drink at least 2 cups of water a day. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm just saying how you have to try to motivate yourself in small achievable goals to get to the goal, right? Sometimes if we go all in whole hog, we might not be able to do it because the goal is too high. And so setting those small achievable goals actually makes you feel like you're more successful. And when you feel like you're succeeding at something, it motivates you to keep going. So by setting up those small achievable goals, it actually says, okay, I got that. So now let me go to this. I got that. So let me go to this. And I would even say another small achievable goal, if you want to exercise more. I'll use one of my family members as an example. Okay, so if you know you're not exercising, right? And you're like, okay, I want to exercise more. It could be something as simple as I told my family member, just try to walk a block. Walk from your house to the corner and back. Walk from your house to the corner and back. And there's a book I read, and I'll put the link because I can't remember the name right now, but there's a book I read one time before, and it said, hey, if your desire is to exercise, your first achievable goal might be put the tennis shoes on. I know that sounds ridiculously simple, but if you're a person who actually is not motivated to exercise, it could be something as simple as I'm gonna put these shoes on and I'm gonna walk around this house for a minute. That's achievable goal, right? So when you put the shoes on and you start walking around the house, you might get motivated to go outside and walk that block. And then you might say, okay, I'm gonna walk 10 minutes. That could be 5 minutes one way and 5 minutes the back way. I mean, back to where you started at. And then you may say, I'm gonna walk 20 minutes. That could be 10 minutes one way and 10 minutes back the other way. Those things are things that when you say set small achievable goals, as in exercise, as in going to bed earlier, as in what you eat, as in drinking more water, which I always talk about, I got to get that water in, I got to get that water in. I struggle with getting the water in. I one time didn't always struggle with it, but it seems like you ever had the thing, the more you think about it, the harder it is. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes for me, it's like when I'm going on a fast and I'm fasting. It seems like everything about food comes my way when I decide to fast. And it could be a spiritual fast. It could be a health fast. But I really realize when I'm under the anointing of God, I can fast and I'm like, man, that was a breeze. But sometimes when I'm trying to do a fast in and of myself, I can see every commercial. I can see everything that passed by me. And I'm like, I am having like a food horror movie going on here. So those small achievable goals, that's what I would say would be number 2. And actually going back to what actually Alonda was saying was her coworker's motivation, which was to get to a certain point. Even with that, setting small achievable goals and being kind to yourself with those goals. Sometimes we beat ourselves up more than anybody else. I realize I put a lot of pressure on myself. If you're like me, I'm on this, I set my mind to something, and generally when I set my mind to something, I can do it. But sometimes things are outside of your control, or you have to give yourself grace. I think I heard somebody say that one time is, when you set these small achievable goals, if you don't achieve it, don't beat yourself up. Like that day that I went through the drive-thru and got the 2-piece box of chicken, I got in here and I was actually thinking about it so much, going, girl, why did you do that? Da, 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 da. And even after I ate the chicken, I was still up there thinking, girl, you should have ate that chicken. Da, 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 da. I mean, I was really kind of getting ready to get into this retreat mode of, oh, you failed, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But then I realized, I said, girl, give yourself grace. You're the only one putting this pressure on you. Yeah, you want to do it, and yeah, you're going to fight through it, but give yourself some grace. And that's what I would tell you too. Even when you set these small achievable goals, if you miss the mark, get back up. It says we fall down, but we get up. Get back up. Because honestly, Even when you miss the mark, if you just restart, that's the biggest goal. That's the biggest achievement that you can do. You know what I mean? So even when you get off track, even if you've been on this weight loss journey and you might have went and had your week vacation, the good thing is you can come back. You know what? And don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself some grace. So number 1 is journaling. Number 2 is setting small achievable goals. And number 3 for this one would be visualize your progress. Now, this is something really simple. I know I've seen where people say, look, when I started this weight loss journey, I didn't have no pictures because I didn't want nobody to see, or I didn't let people take pictures of me. Anything below the neck, they couldn't take a picture. But even if they took a picture of your face, you know, you're like, hey, I didn't want pictures. I didn't feel comfortable with pictures. But I would say tip number 3 for staying motivated on this weight loss journey is to take a photo of yourself. If you can, take a photo of yourself or take a video of yourself and actually be able to reflect on that as you go through this journey. Because like me, even though I haven't seen a lot of weight go down on the scale, my clothes fit me so much better. And I'm gonna show you a picture of what I look like a year ago versus what I look like now. It was a little over a year ago versus what I look like now, and I do not look like the same person. So even though I can say my weight loss has been slow, which I'm cool with that. I mean, you know, there's another thing of what's your motivation? Is it only the external, is it only the scale? No, my motivation is deeper than the scale. So even though I can say, hey, on the scale, I haven't seen a major loss, but when I look at those photos, the actual before and now, I'm like, okay, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. And that's motivation for me because I'm like, okay, girl, you done came a long way. You might not be seeing what you think you want to see on that scale, but look at you. And that actually gives you that motivation for progress, especially sometimes you ever took a picture and that picture be like, God, dog, I didn't know I was looking like that. I don't know why we can look at ourselves every day in the mirror. And it's not until we see a picture that we like, golly, I didn't know I was looking like that. I had no idea. I was looking at some old pictures of me and I'm like, girl, what happened? But guess what? I was looking at myself every day in the mirror and it did not dawn on me. So I would say tip number 3 is to visualize your progress. And how you visualize your progress is by taking a before picture of current, and then you can actually do journaling of photos, meaning you can take a picture month number 1, month number 2, month number 3, and it'll be a slow progress. But guess what? When you get down 6 months down the line, it'll be like, and suddenly, now look what I look like. But guess what? If you didn't have something to visualize, even going back to where you want to be, if you didn't have something to visualize, you wouldn't actually know how far you come. So by doing that visualization of your progress, and even though you don't have to share it with anybody, you know, you don't have to show it to anybody, you can just say, hey, I'm just gonna take a picture of me so I can see. You know, I think I've seen where some people do the face off, like look at my face now versus look at my face now. That's another good thing of visualize your progress. So I would say too, another good thing of visualizing your progress is on those most challenging days when you're tempted to say, I can't do this anymore, I am done. That actually, when you look at those photos or look at the videos of where and how far you come, it actually motivates you and you can see it with your own eyes. So that's why I would say, you know, don't get so focused on the scale. Actually look at other things to keep you motivated. And I can tell you that's one of the things that I'm doing. So tip number 4 is celebrate non-scale victories. Wow. I think I just kind of alluded to that before when I was talking about visualize your progress, because non-scale victories are so key when we're on this weight loss journey. And, for me, when I thought about non-scale victories, my main thing was focused on how my clothes fit. Okay, my clothes fit looser, which is great. I've actually gone down a size since being on this Wegovy journey. Even though my weight loss has been small to me, roughly 10, 12, 13 pounds, I've gone down a size in clothes. So I'm like, okay, girl, you know what? That's a non-scale victory because I can fit clothes that I couldn't fit before. Clothes that I had that were smaller sizes, I can put those on now. So for me, that's a non-scale victory. But you know what? Non-scale victories are greater than just the inches or clothes. Non-scale victories can be, I can sleep better. I sleep so much better now. A non-scale victory can be, I got more energy. That's key. That's crucial. That's a non-scale victory. A non-scale victory can also be something as simple as I got more stamina, meaning I used to could not walk more than 10 minutes without being out of breath, but now I can walk 30 minutes and I'm not out of breath. That's a non-scale victory. So when you focus on non-scale victories of being able to do something that you couldn't do before or having more energy, I could think of many different things about, okay, a lot of people say they're sluggish, they don't have energy, but once you start getting yourself and eating better, eating better foods and doing better things, that helps. It is a non-scale victory. So when you think about non-scale victories, you consider those as wins. And you can say, man, I won at that because I'm sleeping so much better at night. I won at that because my blood pressure went down. I won at that because my cholesterol went down. In my case, my A1Cs from when I originally started my weight loss journey has gone down. When I first got diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, I was like 1 point from being a from being a diabetic. Now I'm 1 point for being a non-diabetic. But that has been a fight. So the non-scale for victory for me was seeing my blood work change. That's a non-scale victory. So I would say that next tip for you would be non-scale victory. And tip number 5, I think I'm going to stop here with this video and do 5 tips here, and then I'll do another 5 in another video. Tip number 5 would be prioritizing your health over your appearance. As I can say, that is definitely a key top motivation factor for me. Health over appearance. When you think about your health, a lot of us are on this weight loss journey because we just want to be healthy. We want to be able to walk. We want to be able to enjoy life. I'm over 50, so I'm getting to the point now where I don't want to get out of bed and I'm hurting because of inflammation. I want to be able to, one thing I can say about doing this bird boot camp, it pushes me. It makes me have to fight. But now I can get on the floor and get back up. That's one of my motivations is, hey, I can get down on the floor and get back up. I can tell you, I had a situation that was going on with my garbage disposal the other day, and I had to actually get down on the floor, like almost in a plank to see what was going on. But, I felt so good when I could actually get up. So focusing on your health and not your appearance. Oh my gosh. When you think about that, it just opens up a whole new arena. So even if you're not seeing the immediate weight loss, because you will see it eventually, as you keep going, you're going to see it. But even if you're not seeing it initially, when you say my motivation is my health, my motivation is to live life to the fullest. My motivation is, I like to play golf. I like to do other things. And I would tell you another motivation for me is you just go to the airport. And while you're sitting there waiting on the plane, because I do it a lot, I fly a lot for work, and I see those people who struggling just to get from gate A to gate B. That's my motivation right there, because I want to be healthier, that I can walk, that I can, walk from one point to another and I'm not out of breath, going back to that stamina, increased energy. So focusing health over appearance is definitely a motivation factor for a lot of us. And, you know, I know a lot of people try to say they think because you're trying to lose weight that you're just worried about your appearance. No, that's not my main objective here. My main objective is to not be a pre-diabetic for me right now. My main objective is to lower my cholesterol levels. Thank God, you know, since the things I've been doing, my blood pressure has changed. I'm hearing people say they're coming off of their medications. That alone is motivation. And so when you do and focus on your health, it's so much deeper than the surface, right? So, you know, I was saying something in one of my videos and I can't remember which one. And I said, you know, it's deeper than that. It's so much deeper. And so when you get people who are trying to give you shame for taking medication, you have to overlook that and say, you know what? I can't even pay you no attention right now, because guess what? It's so much deeper than that. For me personally, it's so much greater for me. And as I'm on this journey, as I'm seeing the different things that I'm doing, I'm learning more about me. I'm being more comfortable with me. And it's not just about the external. I feel so much better. And so focusing on health. So that would be the tip number 5. So again, this is Lifestyle for Living. I wanted to thank you becoming Bianca and Alonda. Thank you for giving me some other motivations, because I was already thinking about doing motivations. And then when I was listening to both of you, it kind of encouraged me to say, you know what? What's my motivation? And I want to encourage you to say, what's your motivation? What are you using for motivation? You know, you can't get stuck on that scale, because that scale will drive you nuts. I'm telling you, you get on that scale, if that's your only motivation, you may have gained weight because your sodium intake is too much. You will be like, I can't do this anymore. So again, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for actually giving comments. I want to grow a community of us who talk about the different challenges and I'm going to be reaching out to some of you. And if you want to reach out to me if you're interested. I'd love to do an interview, a live with you, so that we can talk about our challenges and just kind of chat, you know, for people to see, hey, there are other people out here who are going through the same thing. I get a lot of comments on my videos where people saying, you know what, I was feeling the same way. You know what, I go through the same thing. And we'll realize that we're not alone. And I will say, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. And remember my saying, life is too short not to live. So let go whatever is making you stop and put your eyes on what's motivating you for your future. If it's your family, if it's you know, sometimes I said you got to be, I think in another video I said you got to be an advocate for yourself before you can be an advocate for somebody else. Sometimes you got to fight. I think I said that in another video. Fight. I have to tell myself, fight when I'm working out, fight when I don't want to do what I know I need to do, fight. So having these different things really helps.